Hi folks, welcome back to Atebeno Park for a treat, a non-speed build episode. Well, maybe it's not a treat for you, but it's different anyway, so it's a bit of a treat for me. So last time we did the Pachyrhinosaurus exhibit, and originally when I built it, this part I'm spinning around to opposite Nasutoceratops and just to one side of Styracosaurus, uh, there was fencing there and no path. But now there's a path, and we'll be going down it to move to a new portion of the park. You may have figured out by now that this first section of the Cretaceous area of the park is dedicated to ceratopsians, and so that's what's here. So now we're going to go to another section, also still in the Cretaceous area, still undeveloped park to the left. To the right is the Styracosaurus exhibit, and still drifting off there. I had wanted to turn the bloody thing and get it pointed at what I was talking about, but it didn't want to cooperate with me. So onward then. This is a sort of a canyon walkthrough area for our guests. Possibly a little bit of decompression, may turn into other exhibits in the future. We'll have to see. But it gives a sense of separation from the ceratopsians. So it makes a major statement that we're going to something different. And indeed we are. We're going to the first of the hadrosaur section of the park. And I'll be starting with an alpha animal. And if you can't guess which it is, having seen the start of the video, I'm not sure I can do anything other than recommend some good dinosaur books to you. It is what it is. And right now we're looking at the pillars that flank a bridge. And we're going to head that way. I didn't want the bridge to be anything special. I just wanted it to be very low profile. So what was on the other side would take our guests' attention. That big cop oak and those two pillars let the guests know they're coming to the end of this journey through the canyon. And I want their attention taken by intriguing things on the other side to draw them across the bridge. And as I pivot there, you can see those little bits which tell them that there's something going on up there that may be of interest. It's not massive or anything, but just a little bit to draw them forward. There's a little on the less theatrical end of the spectrum for this zoo. But anyway, here we go across the bridge, and it's now a part of a river system. It was originally supposed to be a dry gulch when I built it. Then I decided to put the water in and discovered that it affects the banks too when you put the water in, and I had to do a lot of remedial work to get rocks back where they made sense and get the ground up where it should be so the plants weren't all cattywampus. Anyway, mostly tropical on this side or aquatic environments. But as we finish crossing the bridge, you'll notice that temperate plants start cropping up, and that's totally suitable for late Cretaceous animals. Another one of the rock path dividers and another bridge. Nothing over there yet, so big empty space. So we will make our way down this path toward the structure. Now that we're across the bridge, we can see more of it. You can see the tower on the left, which is a handicapped accessible elevator tower. And a ramp for our accessibility challenge guests, and a small stairway for those more able. And another bridge, again, relatively low key, but it provides them a view down into the gorge here. The solid railings there, again, we don't want kids falling through because it's pretty rocky down there. And then there's that rope bridge over there on the right. You know, the idea is that that would be intriguing to guests. You know, what is that? How do you get there? Can you use it? And they would occasionally see guests moving across it in this game world because it's part of the program of special experiences for guests to Atebeno Park. Um, so not everybody gets to cross it. It's a little bit like the rope bridges at Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida, um, which I had the wonderful experience to get to cross over the hippopotamus water and the crocodiles. Uh, it's got a lot more safety features on it than I've built onto this one. So, but this should still be safe enough because we're not having them cross over crocodiles. So there is a little gate in the fencing over by the elevator tower, and that is part of that special experience. And stairs up. Oh, jeez. More things I have to fix. Things that are protruding through the walls where they shouldn't be. Anyway, up onto this walkway, and in front of us is a garden, mostly tropical, partly because that had plants of the height I wanted to have them show. So a little mood garden. It's also screening the rocks on the other side, which are themselves screening the care building for the animals. So down the walkway toward that arch, again a people arch, and we can see the habitat in the distance, and to our right, a better, or at least closer look of the rope bridge, and beyond it, the care building for the Pachyrhinosaurus. So let's go to the viewing platform proper, and yes, that odd shape in the distance was indeed an animal. It's a Lambeosaurus. When I shot this video, I just had 2 animals in here, the ones I used to make sure sizes were working and such. It subsequently had enough to satisfy the animal's minimum group requirement for happiness. But like I said, they're not here quite yet. I decided to use glass barrier fencing for the public here because I wanted the animals, well, I already knew the animals would get close. One of them tried to hide underneath the viewing platform while I was still building. And also use glass for the standoff and catch-all barrier there, tilted back toward the viewing platform like it was for the Pachyrhinosaurus viewing platform. That also will serve to discourage our Lambeosaurs from sticking their heads over the viewing platform, possibly being coaxed by guests who should know better, offering them things they should not be eating. All our animals are on a strictly controlled diet here at Atebeno Park, and we would appreciate you not feeding them things. They will get sick. We got to have signs like that in this game because that's so totally zoo-like and so totally honest as well for the care of the animals. You know, it's just not good to feed them things that people eat because they're not people. Okay, bellow, let everybody know you're there. Good girl, good girl. So you may be wondering where the other animal is. I found out later he was hanging out inside the shelter building for them. It's the male. He's a little bit bigger. And I think there might have been a little bit of, oh, there you go, cutie. Smile for the camera. There might have been a problem a little bit with his hitboxes and being able to go through the building. The heat map showed that he could go through that space, but he seemed to not do it, which led me to slightly enlarge the opening. So if you saw the Pachyrhinosaurus exhibit, you know that in my mind on these exhibits is the possibility of a safari zoo tour. So there has to be open space and such. And so this little cruise through will give you a little hint of perhaps what that experience might be like for guests, being able to see things from about car height and look around in the exhibit. They won't get a very good view one way or another of that shelter area, and can actually see my big male hiding in there, but he's in there. And off to the other side. It shares a border with part of the Pachyrhinosaurus exhibit right now, but that would, I hope, make it easier to break down later and let these animals commingle as a multi-species exhibit, because they are contemporaneous and they lived in a similar environment, so it's a suitable choice. We've got a number of water features here. These animals like a lot of water in their exhibit. Different sizes, different placings. Excuse me. Some mango shrubs and stuff. There's branches here and there through the exhibit. Don't want to walk through that thing, so I'm going to try to squeeze by it here along the edge of the fence. And come on, we can do it. Well, we ended up walking through some of it anyway. So let's see if we can reorient. Again, the unfit developed park outside the fence. And now across here, past the pond. And you can see the fence on the left part of the screen in the distance there. And that would be one of the ones I would envision disappearing on the merging of this exhibit. So you're looking into the Pachyrhinosaurus exhibit beyond that fence. And having come around the pond there, taking a look at the rocks, and okay, I forgot I was going to make the point of looking into the Pachyrhinosaurus exhibit through the fence. So this is, where I would hope the cars could go through. And our animals, of course, can come to these fences and get a glimpse of the animals in the other exhibit. And, I don't know if that will make the dinosaurs happy, but it will certainly make them feel less alone in this strange new world they've been genetically recreated in. So nice as the view is, we really should get back to the tour of this habitat. So I'm going to back up and turn around. Come on. There we go. And the view from this end, you can still see that shelter building. As I say, that will go away should a ride come to pass. We'll go through the mud and skirt the birches, through some more mud, back to where our good girl is still laying down. A little bit, oh, she's going to sleep. Sleepy girl. A little bit slightly raised area here, as you can see, because the ground is at a level with the sleeping dinosaur's body, to give some variation to how our guests in the viewing platform would see things. And there's the viewing platform. You can see there's a bar across the supports that hold the building up, and that is there, I hope, to keep the animals from sheltering underneath the viewing platform as they were doing during the build. Also might possibly provide an entrance point for the safari cars. I think it'd be kind of cool if they came, cruising out from underneath where people are standing. And this little bit of fence over to the left is part of where that rope bridge goes. So let's get our way over there, take a look at what it looks like from the Lambeosaur point of view, and you can see that one of the ends of the bridges is here. And over there again, Pachyrhinosaurus exhibit. So I guess you might be wondering how you get there. And as this is built, actually, our guests cannot follow a path to get there. This is all in the headcanon bit of the park. The viewing platform obviously has seating, some of it backing on the garden, you know, a view of that rope bridge, tease our guests with, ooh, look, something special. Drop some more money in the park and maybe you can do it too. So the guests would come through an entrance area and then emerge from underneath the viewing platform in a lowered portion of the plan there. So we'll just like jump into air and drop down to that. As you can see, the ground is sloped here, but I've laid logs for our guests to stand on when they come out of the door as they get the orientation before moving up to the bridge. So we'll move to the platform, spin around, and we've got log stairs to make the ascent a bit easier. Yes, I'm afraid this is not handicapped accessible. Some portions of the park are not. Another little bit of a staging area there so that guests who are reluctant to cross the rope bridge, as of course there would be some, can work up their courage to step across on the path. Ropes are anchored into the rock and into posts, solidly placed into the ground, and your guide will assure you that it is completely safe as long as you don't do something crazy like hop over the rope edging. You can see down the gully there with its rocky form. The water kind of peters out, so it's just rocks down there, and you really don't want to land on them. There's the bridge itself, a gizmo tool shrunk segment of a flat wall done in the wooden board look. Also shrunk vertically, so they're very thin, so that rope edging down on the bottom hides their texture on the edges. And they're all slightly canted so that the bridge appears to sag. You can see that a little bit in the ropes which parallel the boards. So, a reminder of where we came from and then across the bridge. Let's go. We are going, aren't we? Yes, there we go. The ropes are extended to either side of this end to keep people from wandering and falling into the chasm also. And since this is a behind-the-scenes tour, it's certainly okay that you see the care building. And your guide will give you a talk on both of the animals and you know, fill you with all kinds of wonderful tidbits about these animals. Little rope over to the right there to keep our guests from wandering onto the keeper path in between these two places. And you know, it's a nice shady area for the guests to enjoy a natural history lecture, learn something about recreated animals. And over in that corner, I built a cabinet where our guides can store the props to use during their talk. Possibly some real fossils, possibly some casts of them. That would be more suitable if there's a lot of crowd coming through, rather than giving them the real thing. And a good on-the-ground level view of the animals in the exhibit. I could totally imagine the guide being set up to, you know, hand a head of lettuce or something, or, you know, a nice juicy fruit to these animals, since they eat both vegetables and fruits as their preferred diets. So we're going to go up, get a bit of an aerial perspective of this. Such lovely sea out there. Someday we'll get to it. Ignore my little scaling block over there and look at our two exhibits side by side, and it'll be a lovely expansive dual exhibit if the day comes that they can be conjoined. And in the distance, see if I can get in the distance, in the back there in the upper right, is the entrance to the park. So physically it seems like quite a distance, but given the space we have in this park, I haven't begun to fill this buildable area. So we've pulled out, which makes it easier us to zoom in to see where those special guests get into the building to come out underneath the viewing platform for their special portion of the tour. And that's over here by the side of the elevator. And there's a little gate, which would be kept locked, of course. And then a platform for the early orientation, down some stairs, and to another door. And obviously they'd be taken through a corridor there with some more backstage tidbits, because underneath that garden is the keeper's area for accessing the Lambeosaurus shelter. So they would get to learn a little bit of the care for these animals. And I have plans for what's next door, somewhat hinted by that rock screen for the shelter. And it's another shelter build. I didn't see a point of showing you this time around, because you've seen me build these shelters things before if you've been following along. And we're getting to the end of the time for this episode of Atebeno Park. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope I didn't bore you too much with the chatter. And thanks for stopping by. Like it, please, if you did. Subscribe if you're willing to and want to give me some encouragement. Dino Barb signing out. Be well. Take care.